come to order. I would like to tell people that are in attendance how we run our meetings, and we will follow the agenda with one exception today. Our second case has been withdrawn, as it says on the paper, and we're going to start with our third case. For quorum reasons, we want to make sure we have a full quorum to deal with this. Also, okay, let me get my thoughts in order here. We're going to call up the case and ask anybody who's here I'm sorry. We're going to call up the case. We will have staff review the case. Give us any information about it that they deem necessary for the board to consider. Then we have a board member who had been out to the site probably this week, and they will give us kind of paint us a picture of what the property looks like, and just give us a little bit more information as to their observations when they were out on site. After that, we will ask the applicant to come forward, ask if there's anything they want to add to what we've already described, and give them a chance to give us any more information that they want. After that, we will ask for public comment. And obviously we will ask questions of the applicant, and after that we will open the hearing for public comment. So if you're here for that, that's when that's going to happen. And we'll ask questions if we need to of anyone that has public comment. And then after that, unless there's some added questions that need to be asked of the applicant, what we do is we will vote on a motion to close the public hearing. And what that means is we don't take any more testimony, but we discuss the case amongst ourselves. And at that point, the person that was out on the site and is handling the case can do one of three things. They can table the case if they feel they need more information, or for whatever reason they feel necessary to do. If they can then, or they can move to approve or deny the case. And with that, I am going to ask for the reading of the minutes to be read, but first I'd like to ask if there's any corrections to the minutes. Oh, man, I am brain dead.
There are three. Link, could you hit the switch, please?
Oh. Which one? Oh, podium. Sorry.
Thank you. There are three corrections to the minutes for the two motions made under the first item on that agenda, 1503 Michigan Street Northeast. Those motions should read: Mr. Lewis moved to deny a variance of 24 feet to increase the maximum permitted height of 16 feet for a wall sign on a street-facing elevation to 40 feet, and a variance of 40.67 square feet to increase the maximum permitted size of a 40 square foot for a wall sign on a street-facing elevation to 80.67 square feet. Support, Mr. King. Carried unanimous. The correction is the addition of the word carried before unanimous. The second motion should read: Mr. Lewis moved to deny a variance of 24 feet to increase the maximum permitted height of a 16-foot for a wall sign to 40 feet, a variance of 170.8 square feet to increase the maximum permitted size of 24 square feet for a non-street facing elevation to 194.8 square feet. Support, Ms. Montgomery. Carried unanimous. The correction there is the addition of the word carried before unanimous and the elimination of some duplicate text within the motion.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
I move we waive the,
Do you have your microphone? Sorry.
I move we waive the reading of the minutes and accept them as revised.
Okay, is there,
I'll second.
okay, thank you for the second. Any other questions or concerns? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Okay, so we're going to start with,
Chairwoman, about,
sorry.
okay, we would need a motion if that was the inclination to amend the agenda to flip the cases. So we would need a formal motion by the board to do that, if that is something that the board wishes to do.
I move we amend the agenda today to take the third case first, and then the second case has been eliminated, so then we'd move to the first case. The changes being made to ensure that we have a quorum for both items on the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, that's second. Any questions or concerns? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great, thank you.
So that means we will be taking 1620 Leonard first,
Yes.
and then the 3113 Plaza Drive is the second case today.
Correct, correct. Great. Okay, so I'm introducing 1620 Leonard Northwest right now, and we're going to have staff review the request at hand, and thank you.
Tyler and I are not very tech-savvy. Do you want to push your mic on?
Good afternoon, Board. This is a little bit different and unique, me being on this side, not on that side. Nice to see everyone. The first project before you today is, the purpose of today's meeting is to consider the application requesting a use variance to allow for an aviary regulated most similar to a kennel in the traditional neighborhood, traditional business area, the TBA zoning district. This property, as shown on the screen here, is located at 1620 Leonard Street on the northwest side of the city. This case, or this property, you're familiar with it. Back in January 15th of 2026, the applicant requested a zoning ordinance interpretation that an aviary is an educational use or social service facility. The planning director's interpretation that an aviary is beyond the scope of the zoning ordinance's definition of educational use, social or service club, or social service facility was adopted by the board. As noted in the area, or the community master plan, the Bridge to Our Future community master plan, this area is designated as neighborhood center, the intent of which is to reinforce the pedestrian and transit friendly environment in a compact area and promoting a mix of small-scale retail, service, entertainment, civic, office, and residential uses to facilitate or to enhance the vitality of the surrounding neighbors, as shown on the screen in front of you. Typical land uses within the neighborhood central area include a variety of retail buildings, restaurants, personal services at a local neighborhood scale. Commercial uses are concentrated at key intersections to promote walkability in line with the neighborhood nodes. Nodes are connected by a variety of housing options and some commercial uses along those corridors. This property in particular is a suburban commercial strip center with parking located in front of the building, with multiple tenants that have access both from Leonard Street as well as Walker Avenue. An aviary is not listed in the use of zoning ordinance, in the zoning ordinance. The following the zoning ordinance procedures for unlisted uses, section 5.4.04 of the zoning ordinance, the planning department determined that an aviary is most similar to the list use of a kennel. Therefore, an aviary is regulated most similar to a kennel, and the use regulations of the kennel are applied to that aviary. The applicant was informed at their prior location at 925 Bridge Street that an aviary regulated as most similar to a kennel is not permitted within the TN-TBA zoning district. On May 11th of 2026, the applicant submitted additional documentation for the use variance application. I ask that you please reference that document titled Petitioner's Memorandum in support of the application for the use variance that is integrated into your the information that you were provided today. The applicant requested that the document be included in the packet. The document requests that the board correct Albatross Aviary's classification to animal service. The deadline to appeal the planning department's determination that an aviary is regulated most similar to a kennel has passed. Today, you are not asked. You are not asked today to review those documents. The documents have been, in fact, included in your packet. The use variance application is for one of 9 commercial tenant spaces on the property. The applicant is currently occupying that commercial tenant space and has moved into the building without zoning approval. Neighborhood outreach, letters of support and opposition were submitted for the prior application to the Board of Zoning Appeals. The letters from the previous case have been uploaded to the packet as one single attachment. Additional letters received for this request have been uploaded individually. I think there were some received as early as today. Regarding the use itself, a use variance for the aviary, regulated most similar to a kennel in the TBA zone district is what is being considered today. Prior use of that commercial tenant space was a gym. A gym is a permitted use within that TBA zone district. In the use variance application, the applicant states that the gym closed for financial reasons. The Michigan Building Code classification for a gym space is an assembly group, A3 use. And A3 uses are intended for worship, recreation, amusement, and other assembly uses not classified. Below is a table detailing other uses classified in the group A3 and how they are regulated within that TBA zoning district. From a building code perspective, other use classifications in the A3 could operate within that space with minimal changes to the building. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Just for the record, what zone districts is a kennel allowed?
Kennel is allowed in the MCN and MONC commercial districts.
The MON and the MCN?
Yeah,
So the
with special land use approval.
with
for
special
those.
land use approval?
Yeah, so they have to go in front of the planning commission.
MON stands for Modern Era Neighborhood. MCN stands for Mid-Century Neighborhood. So either of those neighborhood classifications and within the commercial zone district, a kennel would be permitted as a special land use, as Tyler just said.
And so what areas of the city are that? Can you describe those a little better?
I've got a list.
By
Great.
all means.
Lake Michigan Drive, west of Koval. Plainfield Avenue around the interchange there on the north side, specifically on the north side. I think the Denny's is also zone commercial. Fuller and Knapp, Breton and Burton, 44th Street near the East Belt, and then the East Belt line, and the majority of 28th Street. Off 28th Street.
And then there are relatively small pockets.
Pockets here and there
Yeah,
throughout.
throughout the community, within the community. But as Tyler noted, those are the larger commercially zoned areas of the city.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Swanson, you have this case today.
Yes, thank you. So, as the chair mentioned, it's our standard practice. We go out and survey the area and provide a description. There's also, we have all the photos and aerials, which is helpful too, and I'm familiar with this case from when it was with us before, so I've been to the site several times now. As discussed, the property is located just off the corner of Leonard and Walker in a multi-tenant strip mall. There's a car dealership and a kind of a community auto-visual creative center right on the corner. The other tenants and services in the mall are consistent with the neighborhood center zoning. There's a Subway, a couple of insurance agents, a jeweler for repair sales, a nail spa, a tax preparing company, self-defense martial arts instructor. The area designated to be the aviary takes up to maybe a quarter to a third of the strip mall that it's a tenant in. And then kind of perpendicular across the parking lot, there's another hair, nail, salon type business that's adjacent to some parking. It's all kind of in the same area when you're looking at it. It's about maybe 100, 200 feet away. Across Leonard is a bank, and there was lots of available and vacant parking. The couple times I visited the site, parking was never an issue. And you can see from the aerial that there is a large cemetery situated to the north and east of the site. Most of the residential properties, what I consider kind of the neighborhood or where the bulk of the foot traffic would come from, was to the southeast and then due west of the property, and there's some separation. Walker and Leonard are both major roads, and there was steady vehicular traffic, so there was a lot of, I don't want to say traffic noise, but certainly some traffic sounds at the site. I did observe pedestrians walking along Leonard more to the east of Walker, but there was also some west side pedestrian traffic on the south, the Avery side of the street. Whereas most of all the other tenants' had storefront windows, as you can see from the photos of this business, the space designated for the Avery is mostly covered by a wall. I think that was from previous uses and design construction. There was a glass door, though, and windows, so it did have sight into the building. And that's really all I have at this time, is just kind of that visual that I saw. I do have some questions, but I'll hold off on those until after the applicant makes a presentation, and maybe they'll be answered.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? And anybody else that may want to reinforce there can come up also, not public comment yet, but we need your name and your name for the record, please.
My name is Siobhan Randall, and I am president of the board.
Matt Zimmerman, Vice President of the Board.
Great. Welcome.
You want to start off?
What else would you like us to know?
Do you want me to just?
Yeah, go ahead.
Albatross Aviary is seeking a use variance at 1620 Leonard Street Northwest in order to allow us to keep the 85-plus exotic and displaced birds in their home safe and secure. Founded right here in Grand Rapids in 2015, Albatross Aviary is a 501c3 nonprofit sanctuary dedicated to rescuing and the rehabilitation of exotic and abandoned birds impacted by the pet trade. Through ethical care, behavioral rehabilitation, and public advocacy, the aviary works to end the systematic avian exploitation and promote a deeper understanding of birds as sentient and social beings. In addition, we are also an education center partnering with GVSU on internships, work programs, ethograms, and varying studies, with hopes of collaborating with MSU and others in the near future. Currently, we house more than 85 birds, with the majority of those being on the endangered, some even critically endangered species list. We give homes to those that have been abused and neglected, and in many cases would have been euthanized.
So I'm going to touch on why the space can't be used for anything else and why it's perfect for us. And we will also let Mr. Ladwig, who is the property owner, go further into that. However, the space has been sitting vacant for some time as a failed gym and a tanning salon. With the fit out of a gym being so specific in terms of plumbing, HVAC, electrical, and layout, not many tenants would be able to occupy the space without a huge overhaul and extreme renovation costs. In reality, only another gym would be able to slip right back in there, and that has proven to fail twice over. That being said, the space is perfect for us. I happened to be there when Mr. Ladwig gave us a tour of the space to see if it would be something that we could use for the aviary. And to say I was elated was an understatement. When I walked into the locker rooms and saw a large shower with multiple rain heads and sprays to actually be able to spray down the enclosures and do the kind of sanitation that we want, I did a little squeal. And it was probably a little bit more enthusiastic than any young woman should be for looking at shower heads. But we were very excited at the possibilities and what our future could be. Also, the large open spaces that a gym provide are perfect for our free flight enclosures and the plans that we have for biophilic environments for these parrots. The area that the tanning salon was housed in is closed off, and it has its own HVAC system, which is essential for our clinic where we can quarantine birds that are new or unwell. As a nonprofit with little means, the property is everything we could hope for. Our landlord and neighbors support us, as do the local ornithologists, vets, and professors. We've had no neighbor complaints and have the petitions and letters to show support of the locals. And as for what we contribute to Grand Rapids, we are not a pet store. We don't believe in bouncing these creatures from house to house. This is not a temporary solution for these birds. This is a place where they know they're finally safe. We have saved their lives, but now we need to keep their home. We belong in Grand Rapids, and the city's plan for Bridge to the Future and its focus on sustainability, conservation, and community aligns perfectly with our vision for the aviary. With John Ball Zoo adding the plan for the aquarium, we have dreams of working hand in hand with Grand Rapids to focus on the importance of sea, land, and sky. And we're excited to see what the future looks like for all of us. We truly appreciate the board's time and continued support and patience, Tyler and Rowan. I know you've had quite the journey with us as we navigate all these ins and outs of the zoning process. With that, we're hopeful that the BZA will approve our request for a use variance and allow us to stay in our home. Thank you. That's all I've got. Ed, do you want to talk about the space?
Oh,
Thank you. My name is Ed Ladwig. I'm the property owner.
thank you.
I was here before you guys back in January 15th. I don't want to repeat everything over. However, I'll just a little history about myself and how I bought the property and why it's so important. I've been a property owner in Grand Rapids since 1987. I owned Wanger's Bowling Alley for 25 years. Now my son owns it. I also own the strip mall right next door. I was in front of the zoning board in 2003 so I could build my strip mall. The city master plan told me I had to build it on the street, and I couldn't build it on the street because I needed parking for my bowling center because it's been in the neighborhood forever. Fast forward real quick, I own 9 commercial properties, and yes, it was been a headache from day one with the gym. As a landlord, they never paid on time. I had multiple lawsuits. I had to evict them to get out. It was nothing but a headache. So when I met Jaron and the staff over there, I thought this would be a great fit. We were able to leave the mirrors on the walls and just go forward with it. I didn't have to spend $400,000 or $500,000 to do a whole build out, because that's what it would cost, because I mean, I don't do it every day. I'm not a big developer, but I did have quite a few people come in and say, Ed, if we were to put multi-units in here, you're talking at least $500,000, because it's 14,000 square feet. So that's what happened. Jaron came in. I had an empty facility for about 9 months, trying to clean it up from the gyms. Now, as a landlord, I can tell you every one of my tenants, not one person's had a problem. Actually, they like it better that they're there than a gym. Number one, less traffic, okay, less noise, and no pollution at all. Contrary to what other people have said in the past. If you've been to this center, there's plenty of parking. The facility, they might have 2 or 3 volunteers, you know, all different times of the day. But I do not have one tenant that has complained about anything. In fact, I think every one of them wrote a letter of support, and they signed our petition. And it's not only just in the strip mall, people up and down Leonard Street, they all want to get involved. So that's kind of where I come into the picture. I'm no big developer, nothing like that, but I had a facility that I thought would work great for them, and that's what happened. I'd like to answer any questions that you guys have as the property owner.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I do have just a couple questions. So you kind of gave your global history. I'm looking at just the history of this site. You purchased it in
I purchased it in 2016,
in 2016. And
November 21 to be exact.
thanks.
And I did have to go to court a lot to get my other tenants out, just to let you know.
And it was, this location was a gym at that time.
Correct.
You said there have been a couple gyms?
Yes.
So was that the first gym, the second gym?
It's actually really the third gym. Bill Bonnie's was there for about 30 years, 40 years. And then it was Westside Fitness. Then after Westside Fitness was Family Fitness. Family Fitness has like 7 locations, and they couldn't even make this one a go. I had to take them to court to get them out. My attorney, we had to evict them. Took us about 90 days to get them out. And then the prior tenants, that was Westside Fitness. I had to take them to court. They owed me about $135,000 between legal fees and everything, close to $200,000. And I had to evict them also for non-payment of rent and keeping the facility up. So I had to evict two different gyms in a matter of about 9 years.
Okay, so you bought it in 2016.
Yep.
And there was a gym, and it closed shortly after that, and then West Side moved in.
Yes,
And they were there, and then Family Fitness moved in.
correct.
Okay, so the three.
And Family Fitness, they had about 16,000 square feet, but they were so far behind in rent. The front part on Leonard Street facing going south, it's now a secondhand store. It's called Westside Apostolate, because the gym was so far behind in their rent. I said to the owners, I go, listen, I'll knock off $2,000 a month off your rent if I can take this, and so I can get somebody to pay me. They had no problem. So then I put the Westside Apostolate in there in 2022. And they've been there just about 4.5 years now.
And it had been vacant about 9 months?
Yeah.
In between?
Yeah, it was vacant, and the whole time while it was vacant, I was trying to just clean it up, because when they left me nothing but a pile of shit. And I had to rent big dumpsters, and it took probably 500 man-hours to clean it up, because they just left. They left the tanning beds, they left equipment that was junk. I mean, it was nothing but junk. So I had to absorb all that cost. So it did take me quite a while, and in the time that I was trying to clean it up, I had Mr. DiBartolo come over, take a look at it, and he just scratching his head. He's a real estate guy on the west side. And I had a couple other real estate people look at it to rent it, and then I had other construction people come in to take a look at it. They said, I hope you got about $500,000, because if we have to gut this out and do individual suites, all new HVAC units, bathrooms in each one, it's going to be quite costly. And that's when I met Jaron just about a year ago.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
No problem. Anything else on your end?
No, I was just waiting to see if you guys had any questions for us as the aviary representatives.
Yeah. Is there anybody else on the board who has questions? Okay. This one I knew.
Can you describe your search for a new home for this a little bit more?
So at our previous location, the building was actively condemned, and we had not known that. They moved the facility, the aviary moved into that facility before I had started as a volunteer. And at the time, they didn't know the status of that building, and there was a lot of problems with it. And so we started looking for new options very early on. I've been with the aviary almost 3 years now, and we were, for the better part of a year, actively looking for other locations, looking for places that would both be appropriate in size and location and everything else. And we were coming up empty-handed every single time. We're a nonprofit that operates entirely on the donations of the public. So our funding for a facility is virtually nil. So our options are extremely limited to begin with. And so we never had any luck really until Jaron was on the news. He was getting interviewed. He was talking about our search for a facility. And Ed's wife happened to catch that segment, and she knew he'd been having all these headaches with the gym location. And so she called him up and got them connected.
So in your search, you said a lot of different places you looked at weren't appropriate for a variety of reasons. Can you just elaborate a little more specifically on?
For the most part, a lot of them just didn't have the space that we needed, that we required for the amount of birds that we have and the amount of space that the birds require. Because ideally, all of the birds will be in free flight rooms, and they'll have cages and stuff for sleeping in. But the idea is that they'll be in more of a natural environment, and she can speak better on that. But we need space for the birds to be able to fly and have natural activities and explore. We need space to be able to clean and sanitize their perches, their cages, their dishes and everything. We need space to be able to prepare their food and store it adequately. And I mean, they go through a lot of food, so we have to be able to store both fresh food and dry foods. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. I'll give you an example. We really did try. So I've been around about the same time as Matt. So I had started about the time we were looking for new facilities. And we had even done one where we had gone all the way to Kalamazoo, even though we would have lost most of our volunteers. Mm-hmm. And it was a funeral home. And so even with that, a huge space that was totally open, would have had so much work that we needed to put into it that we would have had to fundraise for a decade. So even those kind of things, it's just really fortuitous how this came to us.
Did you ever consider any space along 28th Street or, Upper Plainfield?
To be very frank, it's more what we can do. We don't have the money to, so already we were paying rent, which is all of our donations going to rent, and that was our the last building that we were in. So it's really hard when you are fundraising to let your supporters know everything you're giving us is going to a landlord, because we can't actually put this into equity and buy our own place. So it's not a matter of us not trying, it's we don't have the means to be picky with location and what is available and where we can go.
Do you think it would be appropriate to house birds in a commercial district along 28th Street or Plainfield?
Since we have been there, I honestly don't feel like, oh, I'm sorry, not where we are, you mean along Plainfield?
Or 28th Street, yeah. how would that affect your operations?
I honestly would feel the only thing that would concern me is the traffic. We are in an area that you can easily pull off, and it's quieter. Even that kind of noise pollution, everything with the birds is so, you go in there, and if you are in a mood, they can feel it, and they're screaming. And so I just even feel like with that kind of atmosphere and noise, even that kind of thing would be stressful for them. So it's really nice that we are in a quieter little strip mall that is not so in the center of all the traffic.
It's important to keep in mind that these birds live there. This isn't, they're not there temporarily. Like, we've got birds that are going to be there for decades potentially. A lot of these birds live to be 100 years old. And so living in a high traffic area with lots of noise pollution, and having pedestrians coming by and knocking on the door all the time because they're very curious about, the location we're in now is an ideal setting for the needs of the birds. Putting them into a high traffic area, in a more commercialized area, it's not a pet store. It's more akin to something like a retirement home for the birds, as opposed to somewhere where they're going to be coming and going and temporarily. It's not a day camp. It's their forever home.
Can you expand more on the educational component of your work?
You've worked more with the interns and stuff?
Yeah, so we have been working with GVSU on several different programs. One that is, and we actually have some students here that will later come up and chat about it too. We've worked with some biology students and some people that are going into pre-vet as well. Something personally that I'm very excited about is, depending how all of this goes, I'm an interior designer, so I started as a volunteer. I am now a bird person, but that's not why I started. I needed to get out of my own business head and have some place that I could not think for a while, which if you've been around screaming birds, you don't think, except for like whatever is happening, you don't think. So that's how I started. And as an interior designer, I am getting my further certification in neuroaesthetics and biophilic design, and how our environment helps people. And that got me interested in our birds because we have seen so much regression in them being in a concrete building and just nothing. And so, I'm sorry. Our goal is to give them the space that they deserve and to make it as natural for them as possible. And with the students, they're going to help us make these enclosures with branches they can climb on and foraging areas and free flight like they should be. And that's only a little snippet of what the students can talk about, but we have worked with so many different areas in the school.
Do you have classroom space, dedicated classroom space in this plan, or?
In our future plans, we will, yes, yeah. And also for our clinic side right now, where currently, you can see here, this is the tanning salon. It is ideal for us to eventually, yes, have a clinic side because it's got its own HVAC system, so we can have either people bring in their sick birds or we can have people doing checkups and everything, because if we need quarantine, we can have that area separated. And the way that's already fit out with those different spaces is, yes, it would be perfect for different little classrooms or meeting rooms or anything like that on that side.
Do you have any, because Blandford is over there.
Yep.
Right? They also have
Correct.
an aviary. Is there any affiliation or collaboration between you guys?
There is not an affiliation. There's also no hard feelings. I love going to Blandford, so there's absolutely nothing at all like that. I do know that we do have a volunteer that had used to work at Blandford as well, so, but no, there is not an affiliation at all.
Anybody else have any questions at this time? Go ahead, Ms. Swenson.
Yeah, and I think you touched on a little bit, but I'm sorry, Mr. Lewis, I need more
Yeah.
detail on the time frame here. So you were operating over on Bridge Street. You started in 2016
I believe, yep, 2015 is when he had founded it.
was the first, and you were operating on Bridge Street.
Correct.
And you operated there until you moved here, so, okay, 10-ish years, we'll say, nine-ish, 10-ish years. What type of facility was Bridge Street? How many birds did you have there?
We had approximately the same bird count there that we do now. I think we have maybe a half dozen to a dozen more now. But that was essentially like an office building. It was not the ideal location, and it was never intended to be a permanent location. It had space that we had adjusted our setup to where the larger birds could roam and explore and everything, but it was still not ideal for what the birds needed. So we did the best we could with it, but it wasn't intended to be a permanent residence where they could flourish and thrive long-term.
What about sanitation, health needs, that type of thing?
Then or now?
Then?
I mean, we did the best we could. We had an industrial sink in the storage area that we would wash a lot of our stuff with. Larger pieces like the cage and stuff like that, we'd have to take outside and use a hose and things like that in the parking lot. It just wasn't an ideal situation. Yeah.
And just to
Go ahead.
clarify some things.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we were not actually on the Bridge Street location for the last 10 years.
Sorry, say your name.
Oh, I'm so
Your name
sorry.
for the record. Thank
My
you.
name is Jaron Tembrell. I'm the founder and executive director of Albatross Aviary. We started this in 2015 in Grand Rapids in a residential area, and we ran that for about 5 years there. Prior to COVID, we ended up being able to move into a space with a barn that we were able to do our proof of concept. And this proof of concept was based around child developmental trauma techniques that we use, being able to give the birds as much space as possible. Bringing these birds in with a cognitive ability of about a 2 to 5 year old and having them in cages, we see the same thing as when we put children in cages, that we see dramatic problems with aggression, antisocial behaviors, and self-mutilation. So we built this proof of concept to build up. And what this was is we came up with our proprietary dry sanitation protocols that utilize antibacterial corncob substrate along with UV lights and other things that help kill and mitigate any of the problems that would be considered with odor or any problems that we see with swapping out papers and feces and things without having to deal with any kind of high humidity sanitation protocols that would be associated with like kennels that would bring up aspergillus and other kind of problems that build mold and other respiratory problems both for people and birds. When we got the opportunity to move back to Grand Rapids after COVID, I had traveled around as an avian specialist to other aviaries, and one of the biggest things that I found was that all of the rescues that I'd gone to had the same kennel mentality of that they had them for temporary times and that they just bounced around from home to home. And this is what brought on the entire problem of the bird crisis that we see with birds living, 60 to 90 years, especially in the large parrots, that people only kept their birds for about 2 to 4 years. And so when they bounced around, what we see is a problem both with these endangered species, them getting put down, especially in a lot of where there aren't places for birds to go when they get dropped off at dog kennels or the Humane Society. The unfortunate part about that is they get treated just like aggressive dogs and they get put down. We treated them like aggressive children with love and compassion and trauma bonding, or not trauma bonding, trust bonding and just general care. They're so much smarter than we ever give them credit for. And so when we're talking about the sanitation protocols, yes, the last building, we had very big issues because we weren't prepared for the building's condition when we moved to the Bridge Street area. We'd been looking for a building for about 2 years prior to that. So our look for a building has been a great place. It's been about 8 years out of the 10 that we've been around, that we've been looking for quality place that fits all of the very specialized needs for the birds and the community. And this is why this 1620 property has been such a godsend and a blessing outside of the stop work order, where we can't actually fulfill some of the very basic necessities for getting the floor and some of the electric stuff put together to keep the quality control for the climate control habitats.
So I'm just seriously focusing on the timeline here.
Yes.
You opened in 2015, you had a place, you were there, you shut down over COVID and moved elsewhere, and then...
We didn't shut down. We actually were given a spot.
Relocated?
We relocated
Better-
to a spot in Schoolcraft, actually.
Okay.
But it was so far away from any of the people that supported us, and we were there during COVID. Once COVID came back out, we were wondering how to actually maintain without the community support. And I traveled around the country because I thought maybe moving out of state. And at the end of the day, I love Grand Rapids, and I honestly thought that Grand Rapids would be full support of this, especially with seeing the conservation movements and the Climate Action Accord Councils, along with the zoo in Blandford, along with the aquariums, the students here that have been wildly helpful. This has been, as a previous professor in the medical illustration field, I saw such great potential for growth and actually doing something that hasn't been done in our nation yet. We haven't had any kind of standards of care for birds from up until 2023. There's only been 3 years that birds have even been considered animals to the USDA. So we are fighting an uphill battle of just educating people on the necessity of them and the fact that. So getting back to the main question here on this site being, I'm so sorry, but the thing is, their sensitive needs are very similar to the people's sensitive needs, and we found a place that fits really well, both community and space, and the fact that we're able to implement the proof of concept protocols back into this and not having to deal with it in what we can just get away with, I guess. Well, not get away with, but like what we can just find as space, because they need lots of space.
So after COVID, you moved to Bridge?
Yes.
And what year was that?
2021. I think November of 2021.
I think that's what you wanted.
That's what I was looking for. I was kind of piecing it together. I was going to take after
It took
COVID
it took about a year and a
We're
half.
trying to find the information we need to meet the points that the state
Okay.
tells us. we
So
need.
sorry. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay. It's a passionate topic for you, so, and we get that.
I'm set for now.
Is that, anybody else have any questions? Is it about points? Go ahead.
Can I have the landlord back up again?
Yeah.
What do you see as the landscape of properties you are competing against to fill? Like, so you have this property, it's vacant, right? There's other properties out there that are probably also vacant of similar size or use out there. I was trying to get a better feel of how quickly in the market these kind of properties are filling, what kind of users are going there, how distressed the market might be.
Well, I can tell you this, at this particular location, 14,000 square feet, I probably met with at least 8 different real estate people. I can name them all right now. Tony DiBartolo,
That's okay. That's okay.
Ryan Kelly. So what I was told from everybody that I met, Ed, this is going to be a huge undertaking if you get this back to a white box. Now, obviously, you guys know what a white box is, right? I rent to Family Dollar stores, 4 of them, AutoZone, Subway, Jimmy John's. I have another strip mall that's 18,000 square feet, but I have 10 tenants in there, and they're all about, 2,000 square feet, maybe 1,500. So I could have taken this job on, but I'm 61 years old. I don't want to go in debt another $500,000 to do a build out. So this particular situation, when moving them in as the landlord, I have HVAC units. I got a 10-ton, a 7.5-ton unit, worked out perfect. We have a nice little tanning area for their offices and for the vets to come in. worked out perfect. I didn't know all this stuff. I was able to keep, has anybody been in the facility to check it out?
Did not go in. I did not go in.
No? If you did go in, you'll see the mirrors are still on the wall. Both of the restrooms are still intact with the showers. So on the real estate side, I think I was doing something great. Now, on the other flip side of it, I have 54 tenants in all my buildings. Guess what? I don't have any vacancies. I'm very lucky. Tony will tell you that. I'm very lucky for owning all these properties. I own 5 in Grand Rapids, all the rest are in other little cities. But at 14,000 square foot, that's too big for a Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, or, you know, I don't know what else I'd put in there. There's already a Dollar General down the street. There's already a Family Dollar that I rent to. So I don't think they'd be opening another location. I don't know. I don't think it would be good for an office facility there, because if you had 50 people in the office, you're going to have 50 cars there. You know, when the gym was there, there might have been 30, 40 at a time, and the parking lot's not that big. So I wish I could answer more questions for you if you.
I guess, to put a finer point on it, how long do you think it would sit vacant in its current condition, if you were to speculate?
If the bird sanctuary wasn't there?
Yeah, if the bird sanctuary, if this doesn't work out with the bird sanctuary.
I don't know, Tony. Tony just sold one of my properties on Leonard Street, so my personal opinion, it would probably sit vacant for years.
I'm Tony DiBartolo, pseudo-Rex real estate expert. Yeah, it would sit vacant for a long period of time. In answer to your question, we sold 1,200 Leonard Street Northwest, which was 5 commercial units with 4 apartments and a single-family home, and we had it on market for almost a year, just 2 days short of a year, and we started out at $1.2 million, and we sold it for $800,000 with some pretty easy land contract terms. So, you know, you'd almost have to give that space away in order to get a tenant in that, you know, because it's kind of a mess. It really isn't. Tore up, and Ed cleaned it up as best as he could. He got as he said, he got the stuff out of the unit and things like that, but they left it a mess, and it's tore up, and it's not good for a lot of multiple uses. It's just, you know, it's ideal for what we've got here. And I think that when Ed told me a bird sanctuary went in there, I kind of chuckled to myself, and Ed he encouraged me, he goes, Tony, get out and look at it. And a week later he said, Tony, have you seen it? I said, no, I haven't been there. He goes, make some time and go see it. And once I saw it, it was fantastic. It's amazing what Jarek has done. He truly is a Dr. Seuss of birds. This fella can talk to the birds. Like Dr. Seuss, remember, I can talk to the animals. And Jared's incredible. It truly is. And he has a tremendous passion. And I came away from it, I thought, oh my gosh, this thing is incredible. And he's doing a wonderful thing. And let's see, I got a couple more notes here. Yeah, it sure beats having another marijuana store in Grand Rapids. I'll say that. So. Any questions on the real estate? I'd be happy to address them.
Probably be too large for a marijuana store.
Too large for a marijuana store. Okay. So in the condition it's in currently, it would sit on the market for?
Yes, ma'am. I would say for at least a year.
All right, thank you.
I just want to say, I did have Dar Development in there, and they've done some work for me in the past, and I bought some properties. First thing they did when they walked in the door, they just, there was 3 of them, because they know everything from HVAC to, you know, total remodel. As a matter of fact, I own the hair salon right next door. If you did a drive-through, I own the hair salon. I have 28 hairdressers in there, and if you look at that facility, it's beautiful. Dar Construction did all that work for me in 2010. So I did have them come in the building, and they says, Ed, I hope you have deep pockets, because the bank's not going to loan you much money to white boxes, and it's going to cost you a lot of money. And then, even if I white boxed it, who's going to take it? Or if I find a tenant and I got to white box it for them, they might demand a lot. Now, when I built a brand new strip mall, that was totally different, because I'm building it brand new, so I can white box it for Family Dollar or AutoZone.
Right.
So in the way it's set up, because that used to be Meijer grocery store back until 85. So then whoever bought it at that time, which was Dar, they own the construction company. That's when they put the 5 units in there, and then that's when they put the gym in there, Ultra Body, in 1985. So they built that for a gym back in 1985. So to gut it out and redo it, I mean, it's going to cost me $500,000, and then I'm going to have to charge $25 a square foot on Leonard Street, and you cannot get $25 a square on Leonard Street.
True.
Yeah, at the most you can get is maybe $12 or $12.50, and that's what I get in my strip mall on Leonard Street right now. So I thought I was putting it to the best use possible without going major in debt. So.
Okay, thank you very much for that input. Anybody else? Okay. We're going to open it for public comment, and were we able to bring up the points? Okay. I've asked staff to put the questions or the statements that we have to justify in order to approve or deny this case up on the screen, so that anybody who would like to talk to us about this kind of has an idea of the type of information we're looking for. And so I would just ask that you take a minute to read it. And I know this is an emotional case, and we appreciate that, and we're happy to hear what you came here to say. You've taken the time to come. When it comes down to it, these are the things that the state has asked us to look at and make a decision based on. We're going to limit comments to 3 minutes, just so that we can get through this. We've already spent an hour on the applicant part of this, so if anybody who has come down, spent your time and efforts to come down today that would like to talk to us, please feel free to come up to the podium. Just give us your name and let us know what you came down to say. Do you know how to run that? Okay. Good afternoon.
Hi there. Casey Butler. I am a Grand Valley student, kind of old, returning student. I initially got involved as a volunteer with the aviary through one of my classmates who was last fall was getting ready to do her capstone study program to finish her degree at Grand Valley. And she needed volunteers to help do a behavioral study with some of the birds at the aviary. Wasn't really much of interested in doing bird rescue stuff, but when I saw what they were doing there, I thought it was really cool. It's the fact that we were able to do like this whole capstone study with them through Grand Valley, got a lot of our classmates interested in like, hey, like we can do some of our like actual like wildlife work with them. And so me and a couple others have stayed on as like regular volunteers, interns, even after the semester has ended. I'm planning on using a lot of the stuff I've learned there for furthering my education and getting a wildlife biology degree. Looking at these points, when I've been there, I don't see anything that would think that there's been any detriment to the neighborhood or the area. If anything, they've been trying to make the space better with what they're able to do within the confines of the work order. I just wanted to say that it's been very enlightening to me to see the needs of these birds, and to be able to have like a space that's kind of like out of the box for us as a student body. Like, it's not like a classroom space per se. It's like, oh, we're really kind of in the trenches working with animals, like rehabilitating like poor behaviors. We've got the ornithology club at Grand Valley is going to start doing more things there this semester, hopefully this semester in the fall. We've got like vet tech students who are trying to learn like how to deal with like medical issues and behavioral issues with animals. And these are animals that aren't very easy to get experience with because there's just not many places or opportunities for this sort of thing. So that's all I wanted to say.
Great.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your time.
Gotta lower this.
Hello, I'm Kathy Ladwig. I'm the one that saw Jaron on TV. It just tugged at my heart. I knew we had this open space that my husband and I had discussed. Should we put $500,000 into it? And I happen to be a bit older than him, and I'm not real well, so we kind of stepped aside and said, no, we gotta do something where we can just make this work. And as I read the use variance, it is definitely unique. It wasn't self-created. I saw him on TV. We had this empty place where we had had nothing but bad luck in the last previous years, and we reached out to him. He didn't reach out to us. I don't see anything that's a detriment. When you walk in, there's soft nature music playing. You can be having the worst day, and believe me, I have recently. And you walk in there and you just forget your troubles. It's just like you're walking through a forest. It's just beautiful. As far as can that be reasonably used for something else, we don't have the attention span, the energy, the money. My health is not good. We just are so thankful when we thought we could do this. We didn't know, we were creating a problem. And as far as the master plan, even the neighborhood is in support of this. I challenge any of you to come visit, make an appointment, come visit, and you will walk out being impressed. It's like you just met Noah and his ark. Even my vets said they can't do birds because there wasn't enough stuff. They went to Michigan State. There wasn't enough education that they could learn aviary stuff. And they were really impressed when we brought our dog in and were telling them about this aviary. So I just encourage you to think deeply with your hearts. It's just a beautiful project. I see no downside. Thank you for your time. Thank you for what you do.
You drove down here. Come on up. Whoever else wants to come up.
Hello, my name is John Munoz, for the record. Good idea. Yeah, so I actually recently moved to Grand Rapids. I'm from Battle Creek, and I found the aviary just scrolling through Google Maps, trying to find something to do to get involved in the community. So I got in touch with Jaron and have been trying to just help out in any way I can. Assuming everything goes well and we can get the stop work order out of our way, I plan on helping with the renovations and the overall picture. I've got carpentry experience, so I just wanted to get involved and help them in any way that I can. As far as, everybody else has touched on, like, there is no negative with this. It seems like something that not only is going to be good for the community, but for anybody that walks in the door, and good for, the animals themselves. So I'm in full support of it. I know that doesn't mean much coming from me, but yeah, I just wanted to share that I think this is a very important thing. So thank you.
Thanks for your time. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello, my name is Corey Bast. I'll make it brief. I'm a tenant also in the same building off of McDonald Street where the loading docks are. So I'm directly underneath the aviary. So I just want to say that, there's been no issues with me or anything like that with smells or sanitation or anything or noise complaints or anything like that. So I'm in full support of being a neighboring tenant to Jaron.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Last call. Two bites at the apple, I see.
Oh, that was for clarifying. I'm going to take my 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Thank you guys for accepting my 3 minutes. I want to just talk. My name is Jaron Tembrell. I'm still the founder and executive director. And I just want to touch on a couple of things as we move forward, especially as it comes down to that right now, working with the Great Lakes Avicultural Society, there are only 6 practicing avian vets in the state. One of the big problems with that is because after you go through and get your doctorate, you actually have to specialize in avian care because it's not mammalian. And this is where a lot of the problems come in, even as far as housing and caring for them. Most of the stuff we have set up is for mammals. But one of the problems is that after you go through this, you need about 800 to 1,200 hours of experience before you can get certified as an avian vet. There are not places to do that. What we're trying to do is create a pipeline for that so that we can actually help other people out. I just saw a report yesterday saying that there's 21 cases of salmonella outbreak in Grand Rapids from backyard chicken farms, people doing that. And these are wildly and incredibly easy to take care of with education. To the smallest part of people having backyard chickens or pheasants, or quail, to all the way up to avian vets. We are trying to create an actual pipeline so that we can help out the community, especially as we get into the conservation efforts with the communities. The things that birds need to thrive are exactly what things people need to thrive and did for the longest time. Birds are the last vestige of the last ice age that kind of cultivated the world that we thrive in. Caring for birds as an educational space has so many beneficial educational outlets to it, from developmental childhood trauma care to how our basic needs are being met, to even the 5 domains that we base all of our work on, that was off of the 4 pillars of captive care. And how you figure out whether or not you're doing the 4 pillars is a general mental health. And we can take some of this work that we're doing even now and being like, oh, the general mental health in the society that we see today comes down to the basic needs aren't being met. And we can actually do certain things to kind of help generate some understanding. But the bottom line is there aren't places for these birds to go. And they don't make good pets. They make fantastic companions if you plan to spend the rest of your life with them, like special needs children, and they need love and care. And I guess what we're asking out of the board is to allow us to continue our life-saving work. Thank you for your time.
Thanks. Okay. Anybody else? All right. Do you want to move to close?
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
It's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, go ahead.
This has been, I think, one of the most difficult cases I've worked on for the BZA since I've been here. I'm done a lot of reading, learned a lot about bird care, looked very closely at our statutes and our requirements, and there are 5 requirements. And so I will make a motion and work through those, and then if there's a second, we can discuss. Is that agreeable? The first motion goes to the uniqueness, and we have to say there are unique characteristics about the property or the situation that would not necessarily be shared by other residents. And I am not a developer on the scale of the developer that's in front of us, but just generally, I agree that there are expenses, there's vacancies, and there's costs. Repurposing the gym would be difficult, but it's not a unique situation. It's certainly not a unique situation in Grand Rapids or across anywhere today. So I just see that there may be conditions of the space that are unique, the fixtures, the utilities, the internal layout, but there's nothing really that unique about the property itself. It's not like it would have to be picked up and moved as we've looked at other dimension or other use variances. The fixtures could be added to any other number of the tenant spaces at this location and elsewhere in the district of the TNTBA district. They could also be removed from any location too. So I find this characteristic of uniqueness not met. The second standard requires that the need for the variance not be self-created. And it's not who had the idea first, although I appreciated that being pointed out, but there is nothing about the property or the building that is causing or creating the need for the variance. Per the building code, the building can be minimally re-outfitted and repurposed for several allowable uses. It could also be more expensively modified to comply with the building code requirements for other allowable uses. I don't think the need for the variance has anything to do with the fact that the zoning ordinance does not specifically address aviaries. Aviaries regulated most similar to a kennel, as this use is specified, could be located in other locations throughout the city. And then I also looked at, had the applicant come asking for this use variance prior to occupying the property, would I still have trouble with this standard? And to a certain extent, it's not relevant, but the applicant knew or should have known that the site was not zoned appropriately for the use when he occupied it and invested in it based on the prior location. It's not like the zoning changed or the requirements of the aviary changed. They have always been static. Nothing became incompatible with zoning. The zoning existed there, so there were no unknowns or surprises. So I find the standard is not met. On substantial detriment, I truly appreciate all the public comment we heard. And generally in this, we just look at the immediate neighbors, but there is kind of a global impact here because this is a need. And it's also not just a count, because I looked at the subset of people who were local, but also the people who supported the mission. And I looked at the fact that the aviary has been a good neighbor, and that it's been well received in the area. I'm generally a little leery of that because you never know, once you give a variance that runs with the land, who the next owner will be, who the next occupant. But there was such overwhelming support, and as I visited the site and looked at some of the separation issues and how it was built, I do believe that there would be no substantial detriment if the variance was granted. So standard 3 was met. As far as unable to be used for an allowable purpose without the variance, this is very similar to my findings in the first standard. The property has no significant limitations that prevent it from being used for an allowable purpose. Yes, it would take time and investment, but the fact that it was vacant for 9 months, I don't know if that's a short time, a long time, but the building is usable. It's a sturdy site. As that area grows, as the needs of the neighborhood change, as the new plan comes out, it is still a usable building for something else besides the aviary. And then the final consideration is whether it is consistent with the purpose intent of the master plan and will not materially impair the provisions of the zoning ordinance in the district. I struggled with this because the use is not consistent. I looked at whether the use would impair the master plan, but I think we have to look a little bit at, again, precedents here, what else is allowed, how the area is supposed to develop, and since variances transcend individuals and land, I think we have to be very careful about stepping away from what's planned. Other individuals, other businesses operate in an area based on how an area is planned. And while we might want to make one change, if we make one change, then we start to make other changes, then we start to make additional changes, because there's many, many good purposes out there. But there's also a plan, and people have relied on the plan. And this is not consistent with how that area is planned. So I have to say that that final standard is not met.
Do we have a support for, even just for discussion?
Support.
Thank you. We have support. Any questions? Go ahead.
I just thought before a vote gets taken, just to be clear what the motion is, to support or deny.
The motion was to deny.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
Any questions? Comments?
It was well put together and it's heartfelt. And I guess the one question I have is with the master planning part. When I read, it will not materially impair. I mean, so I agree with all your assessment of the four, but the last one, I'm kind of stuck on that material impair. Like, I don't know this materially impairs, but I understand the point that it does go with the land going forward. But
You picked up I had hesitation, and it was there, and I had two ways of looking at that. Because if we look at just one little property in one site, does that impair the whole plan going forward?
it does set a precedent for other areas.
It does set a precedent, and once we set that precedent, I don't know how we can start saying no once we've said yes. And that's
But
that's
each
how I
one's
came
different.
to that conclusion.
Go ahead. Sorry, Mr. Lewis.
Yeah, I guess.
Thank you.
I guess I do have comments.
Yes.
I mean, I think this is the epitome of uniqueness as far as a case goes, as far as a use goes,
Yes.
and even I would go as far as a building and a location goes. You know, per testimony of the applicant, other commercial zone districts are busy, noisy, loud, and inappropriate for their use. This is one of the few spaces, I would say, in the city that is located almost in, I mean, it's the edge of the city. It's about as rural as you get in the city, and it's a large enough space that they could use it. The building is uniquely set up for the use in that it has the space, it has the fixtures already there. They can reasonably use it without massive modifications. These are things that they wouldn't find in other spaces. And per their testimony, they've looked at many other places and they have failed to find this. They I know it has been ruled a kennel, but they do have many ancillary functions that don't necessarily align with how a kennel is narrowly defined, with their education component, with lack of sales, and with they're not, I mean, nonprofit status isn't necessarily, but most kennels are. I don't know of nonprofit kennels or things like that. So I think there's a lot of things unique to them as an organization, as to their use, their program, and as to their needs for a building that don't align with how the zoning ordinance would hope to fit someone into a kennel space and where those should be located in the city. You know, so I could argue about uniqueness for a while, and then I think self-created comes off of uniqueness, right? They didn't create their unique situation or their needs. But as far as the master plan, we talked about substantial detriment, I think you can, having looked at a number of cases in the past on reasonably used, we have certainly found that spaces that have sat vacant for a year or so are in that realm of not reasonably used. I think there was a child care center that we did a couple of years ago that hadn't even been vacant that long. I think if we were to pull it up, we would find a fair amount of cases where we said, yeah, it's been vacant. And, this tenant, this landlord, per his testimony, has gone through a number of evictions. It's been very hard to keep the space filled. Generally speaking, retail or this kind of space in the city of Grand Rapids is getting harder and harder to fill. And so to have an active tenant in it, I think certainly supports the goals and the intent of the master plan and the ordinance. We're going through the rewrite process of the ordinance right now. And we're certainly not talking about aviaries, right, or creating new uses or finding these unique situations and thinking about every contingency, right? And that's the purpose of this board, is to say, yeah, this is unique, right? This doesn't make sense. And we can easily use these criteria, and if we read them very narrowly, we would probably deny the majority of applicants that come forward towards us. And yeah, I think I've said enough on where I stand on this.
I guess I have a question of staff. When we're looking at the uniqueness, we're looking at the property, correct? Not the use that's requesting to use the property.
Yeah, for purposes of, and Rowan and Tyler, please supplement if needed. For purposes of the Board of Zoning Appeals condition, uniqueness tends to apply to the property or the building, the site itself, and not necessarily to the business and the operations being unique. In the case that the specifics when it comes to the operations tend to fall in the use determination and what is the use similar to. And in this case, for our ordinance in Grand Rapids, we found it to be a use most similar to the kennel. And so the uniqueness of the individual operator's business plan is what informs the use determination. It doesn't generally speak to the use variance standard. I have had conversations with the applicant or exchanged emails. I'm open, as we should be for any unique use, to consider a policy conversation as part of the zoning rewrite, but that's a different process outside of the Board of Zoning Appeals authority, where we have uses that might be newer to the market. Short-term rentals would be another one, relatively speaking, where a zoning ordinance might need to be amended to address various uses that come into the market that we hadn't considered at the time of writing. That's not the same thing as a use variance consideration. Those are different processes, and in that case, that would be a policy conversation. And I'm open to that conversation. It's just not on the same timeline, perhaps, that would be beneficial for this particular case at this location.
Okay. Anybody else have questions, concerns? Okay. The motion, whoop, sorry. Do you have your microphone on?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't want you to hear me.
You don't want me to hear you.
I'm just curious, at the end of there was, I can't find it readily, but there was a suggested difference. I know that's that we're considering the use as an aviary, as potentially a kennel, but there was also discussion in the last one, I wasn't here for the January one, about animal
services.
Animal services. And it looked like they tried to change that here at the last minute. It was just too late or what have you. I guess in the past, we've looked at some of these things and went, if that use is permittable here, does it warrant, I mean, we have to vote, I get that, the motion's on the table, but could we table it and let them resubmit for that use, which is usable?
I'm going to.
And I'm asking the question, or do we have to
Do you want to do it, or do
vote
you want
first?
the attorney to handle it?
At this time, a use variance is before this board, and I would recommend that the board continue with considering this as a use variance. We cannot provide legal advice to the applicant. Of course, our planning staff can discuss options with them under our zoning ordinance, as they've done. But at this time, I would recommend we continue with the use variance as applied by the applicant.
We're all set here? Okay. The motion is to deny the request for a use variance at 1620 Leonard Northwest. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Can you oppose your own motion?
I'm sorry? What?
If you second a motion, can you oppose it?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think, there's not a problem with that, is there?
No, I don't think so, because you're still calling for a vote on the,
Usually
The
the.
second of the motion is what puts it on the floor.
correct,
Puts it on the floor for
exactly,
It's never
discussion.
happened
Yeah.
before, so
exactly.
I just don't know.
No, you can't vote, no, I'm kidding. Okay, so we have 4-2? Correct? Okay, and so what happens then? Sorry, I'm not real good on my procedure.
Yep, so
So-
oops, sorry.
Go.
It would take 6 votes to approve a variance. Okay, so that motion did not pass, so we would probably encourage the board to have another individual, if they wish to put forward another motion, they may. Otherwise, it's this awkward where you need 6 to pass a variance, but that's not to, I'm sorry, 6 votes to approve a variance, a use variance. And so the use variance didn't pass, but the motion, the motion did pass. I'm sorry, I butchered that. I apologize. I was doing the inverse in my head. Did you want to unwind that for me, Kendall?
No, I believe the motion to deny
Passed.
passed.
Because it was a 4-2, you would need 6 to approve the use, approve the variance.
Can I just jump in here?
Yes.
Sorry. If I had made a motion to approve, that motion would have required 6 affirmative votes.
Correct.
If it had only received 4 affirmative votes, it would have failed. But
Correct,
the motion was to deny,
which passed.
which passed
Yes.
4-2.
Correct.
Old government.
I answered the question incorrectly. I'm sorry, I was referring to a use variance passing. I apologize. So,
Yep.
So the be-all and end-all is that the motion to deny has passed?
yes.
Correct.
Apologies.
Okay. And just encourage all of these incredibly passionate and wonderful people to keep on with their mission and to work with staff after this meeting to see what options are available. Okay? Sorry. It was a hard one. Thank you for your time.
There are parking validations if anybody does need that. Just a reminder.
It's right outside the door. Okay, our next hearing is going to be on 3113 Plaza Drive Northeast. I appreciate your patience. And I'm going to ask staff to go through that case. Is he leaving? Okay. Okay. Just-
Okay, the final case on our agenda today is 3113 Plaza Drive Northeast. The applicant is requesting several variances to facilitate the construction of a 24-unit residential building. The first variance is a dimensional variance to locate off-street parking in the defined front yard. The second variance is a dimensional variance of 5.8 feet to reduce the required 7-foot side yard setback to 1.2 feet. A dimensional variance of 20 feet to reduce the required 25-foot rear yard setback to 5 feet. The site is located in the northeast corner of the city, indicated there on your screens with the yellow star.
Is this yours?
The Bridge to Our Future Community Master Plan designates this area as a suburban neighborhood. The characteristics of the neighborhood are very unique. This is a spot very uncommon throughout the city in terms of its location. You actually have to drive along Plainfield and then enter on another road to reach the site. It's located directly north of 196. There is I-96, and then there is a large apartment building to the north that contains 120 units and a television station to the immediate west. There's a natural area to the east of the site that is in the Kent County Land Conservancy. The intent of the suburban neighborhood within the Bridge to Our Future Community Master Plan is to build on the established development pattern consisting predominantly of low-density residential development to evolve these areas into more walkable neighborhoods with new housing types. These areas align with the modern era neighborhood classification, which Director Turkelson has already discussed today. The land use of the Bridge to Our Future Community Master Plan is primarily low-density housing. Compared to the compact neighborhood, these areas have a more uniform housing pattern with larger average lots and longer blocks. The property is currently improved with a 2-story structure. The structure was previously a hot tub spa and then a brewery, also known as Hubba Tubba, as the hot tub spa, not the brewery. The brewery was Hideout Brewing. The proposed project would demolish the existing structure and build a new structure in roughly the same location. The site is located at the end of Plaza Drive Northeast. Plaza Drive Northeast is a dead-end street starting at Lamberton Lake Northeast and Plainfield Avenue Northeast. This property was not platted. However, the legal description reference I-96 and Plaza Drive Northeast. This parcel is likely a remainder of land from when the highway and road network were constructed. I have a photo of the site taken from Plaza Drive Northeast. You can see the existing structure on your screen. And here's a photo of the entrance of the building. Staff was on site today to take these photos, so they are as current as possible. On your screen, you will see the proposed site plan. The proposed building is identified in the hash marks there. That is the 24-unit residential building, and then the accessory parking areas are on the west side of the site and then along the east side of the site as well. I will note that there is a large telecommunications infrastructure on the southwest portion of the site that is remaining. The first variance before you today for this case is a dimensional variance to locate parking within the defined front yard. The front yard is defined as the space between the building and the front lot line. The front yard is identified as all areas in blue on the screen. A utility line and associated easement run parallel to the street and encompass the first roughly 45 feet depth of the parcel. Buildings, foundations, and other structures are not permitted in the easement. Improvements in the easement are limited to surface level improvements such as walkways and parking lots. The area of the parking lot in the front yard, as I mentioned, is identified in blue. The proposed project requires 36 parking spaces. The applicant is proposing 35 parking spaces. An EV charging space counts as 4 parking spaces, which the applicant is proposing. The proposed number of parking spaces meets ordinance requirements. Shown on the screen is taken from the site looking at Plaza Drive Northeast. You can see this is the area of the easement. There are some utility flags out on site, which you can see kind of there in the little yellow, indicating the presence of a gas line. And then there were utility flags that also indicated presence of cable and fiber optic lines as well. The second variance for this case is a dimensional variance of 5.8 feet to reduce the required 7-foot side yard setback to 1.2 feet. Parking areas must meet the side yard setbacks of the zone district. Parking areas include parking spaces and drive aisles. The drive aisle and the side yard setback is the minimum width necessary. The portion of the parking in the side yard setback is highlighted in the plan in red. I know it looks like just a line, but there's about 5.8 feet of that parking area at its closest area in the side yard setback. And you can see this is the side yard indicated in the photo there. You can see the television station in the background of the photo. The property line, although we didn't have accurate measurements on site, can be assumed to be that fence line as shown in the screen.
Okay.
And then finally, the last variance is a dimensional variance of 20 feet to reduce the required 20-foot rear yard setback to 5 feet. Parking areas must meet the rear setback of the zone district. Parking areas include parking spaces and drive aisles. The easternly parking area, a portion of which is in the rear yard setback, is dimensioned to the minimum standards of the zoning ordinance, meaning that the drive aisles and the depth of the parking space are the minimum necessary as allowed in the zoning ordinance. And then finally, the portion of the, as I mentioned, the portion of the parking area in the rear yard is highlighted in yellow on the screen. I think I have one last photo. Yep. This is the area of the site where the parking in the rear yard is proposed to be. That car in the background is on 196.
Wow.
Excuse me, 96, not 196.
196, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Zeiser.
As always, Rowan stole all the thunder.
Yes.
So just quickly, I reviewed the site at 3113 Plaza Drive yesterday yesterday 5:20 around noon. The site is the south of Plaza Drive with wooded green space to the east, the news station to the west, several apartment buildings to the north. I want to note that the apartments to the north appear to have front yard parking as well as carports in their front yards. This is the case with the news station as well. Other note, I did not really see public transportation or options for public transportation in that area, but possibly all the way out on Plainfield. So the current building was, as you saw in the photos, pretty much dilapidated. I will say that I went to the Hideout Brewery when it wasn't dilapidated. It was a good time. Other than that, it was a quiet area. There was not much traffic at that point. Obviously, the easement is not visible, but I did see the flags to attest that there is something underground there. That's really all I have.
Can I just ask you, because the pictures are cut off, is there an apartment complex across the street?
There is.
With front yard parking
Yes.
also? Okay, thank you.
And Rowan did show that at one point too.
Yeah.
Pictures in today.
Yeah,
So you can see it a little bit there in the top right of
Right.
the screen.
that's what led me to believe that. Thank you. Okay, is the applicant here? Thank you for your time. Okay, your name for the record, please?
Thank you, guys. I'm William Hepner, Bill Hepner. Yeah.
What would you like to add?
I guess I don't know. It's the first time I've done it. I did read through this, and I seen some of the questions you guys had. I just want to note that I did reach out to the Land Conservatory next door and the Crested Neighborhood Association. I do have some emails here I printed off that they sent back, and I think they're in favor of the project, right? It's a blighted building. They'd like to see something new go up and bring some more people to the community. The concern the Land Conservatory had was any sort of drainage or anything, if we were going to redo that parking lot. And I assured them, we're really not redoing it. We're just kind of extending it a little bit, but I plan on working with the city and their drain commissioner or whoever you got to work with on that to verify it meets the needs of the Land Conservatory.
Okay.
And I really don't feel like we're changing a whole lot on this property. We're just kind of eliminating a building, putting a new one in, extending parking a little bit.
Mr. Zeiser, questions?
Yeah, I think the first one, so you did some outreach and spoke to the neighbors and what have you?
Yeah, this was all back in January, and I haven't spoken to them since, but I do have their emails here if you guys care to see them.
Okay, that's not in the ARPS packet, right?
It was I included it in the rezoning, but I didn't include it in this for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah, this property did have some process with the Planning Commission and City Commission to rezone it to a different zone district.
And the reason why we're going with 24 units is because the cost to build it and to acquire the property, it's just not feasible with any less units. So in order to actually purchase the property to make this a go project, we got to get those required units in there. And that requires, these variances that we need.
Understood. Can you give me a little more background to the easement that's on the property?
I don't know that much about it. From what I understand, it's just a public utility easement. And I didn't think there was much under it, just that gas line going across the road and then just some fiber going across the road again. So I don't think there's anything going the length of the property. It's just kind of by the entry of the property, it's going across the road, as far as I understand it.
Okay.
But again, I'm kind of in the phase of whether I even want to purchase the property. I have an agreement to purchase it, and this meeting kind of determines that. If I can't get the variances, I'm probably going to walk away. So I haven't really invested a whole lot in determining the exact what's in that easement right now.
Have you discussed with staff or anyone the options if the easement wasn't there, that you could put the building there and not have all these?
I haven't talked with staff, but I talked with my engineers, and I've been using Fishback on that, and they don't see how we can move that building to the front and still get the required parking. The building fits well with the existing structure is now, and then you can kind of fill the rest of that property. And because of its unique shape, it's not as easy as just moving them around.
Okay. I think that's all I have for right now.
Anybody else have questions? No? Okay. And so, let me, hang on. So basically, you're putting the building where you can, given the constraints that are on the property?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And working with Fishbeck, they figured that there's already some pavement there for parking right now, so the variance on that west side by Fox 17, we can get the additional 5 spots over there. So that's why we're asking for it on that side.
Got it. Okay. And as I just said earlier, there's an apartment complex across from you that's in the same situation where the parking is in front of the building.
Yes.
Which is one of our conditions.
Yep.
That we're looking at today. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Is there any public comment on, I'm sorry, lost the address here. Oh, I'm sorry, 3113 Plaza Drive Northeast. Anybody here to talk to us about Plaza Drive? No? Wow, that was a quick one. Okay, Mr. Sizer, what is your,
Motion to close the public hearing.
okay, and seconded? All those in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, what would you like to do?
My intention was to combine all these as one. Are you guys okay with that? Otherwise, I can break them up.
Up to you.
I will try this. I haven't done this in a while, so here we go. Make a motion to grant the dimensional variance to locate off-street parking in the defined front yard, a dimensional variance of 5.8 feet to reduce the required 7-foot side yard setback to 1.2 feet, and a dimensional variance of 20 foot to reduce the required 25-foot rear yard setback to 5 foot per plan submitted. I make this motion based on the following. Going through the standards, exceptional and extraordinary circumstances or conditions due to the existence of the easement limiting the space upon which a building could be built in compliance, I see this standard is met. Substantial property right, given that the neighboring property owners enjoy front yard parking and a variety of side yard setbacks and backyard setbacks, I feel this standard is met. Not self-created, the applicant did not place the easement on the property, which is the cause for the needed variances, thus this standard has been met. No substantial detriment, given the rear yard faces the highway in which nothing can be built between the property line and the highway, the neighboring properties having front yard parking and a mix of side yard building setbacks, I see this standard is met. The master plan zoning, given that the applicant is adding multi-unit housing to an area which in which a community of multi-unit housing already exists and is compliant with the parking requirement. This variance, if granted, is consistent with and not materially impairing the purpose or intent of the master plan and the provisions of the zoning ordinance and district under consideration. Thus, this standard is met.
Support.
Okay. I guess I'd like to add a few things to what you said. I think the shape of the property it presents some challenge on top of the fact that it's got that easement running through it. So the shape of the property makes it unique. And just the sheer placement of where it is up against an expressway is, to me, an exceptional or extraordinary circumstance with that property. It's just such a unique piece of property. Now, you can take or leave that as you wish, but
If you feel it's necessary, then I would be happy to entertain that to the motion and add the shape of the property as well as the location to the highway as part of the exceptional circumstance.
okay, perfect. Okay. Does the supporter support?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so does anybody else have any other things to add to this motion or any conditions? Okay, and it's per plans, I believe you said?
Yes, I plan
Yeah.
submitted, yes.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, carries. Good luck. All right, continue to work with the city to make magic happen in that back corner. Thank you. Okay, is there any other, let's go to public comment first. Is there any public comment? No? No public comment? Okay.
In general?
In general, we're done with our cases, and in general, just, yes. Thank you.
Siobhan, again. First of all, James, both times you've just been amazing. I really appreciate you and all of you, but particularly you. You've really, really put it out for us. Second, I came into this a little bit later, so I took over the application for this portion. I just need somebody to point me in the right direction of what we do from here.
Absolutely.
Likely Tyler Kent will be reaching out to all of you, set up a time along with our Code Compliance Division, and work through a plan of how we proceed here. I'm more than happy to work with you, and I can't speak for Code Compliance, but typically they will work with us to find a plan that works, as long as we're moving forward in the direction that, based on the decisions that have been made.
Yep.
So
Appreciate it.
Tyler will be reaching out probably next week at this
Okay.
point.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for staying and asking. Okay. Got one more.
Hi, I am John Munoz again. I believe it was Lawrence that touched on the possibility of like a reclassification to animal services, and I know that's a completely different route. Is that just another thing that we could get some sort of extra information or counsel on, just how we would go about going that direction?
I would recommend that legal counsel be sought to the extent that you guys want to pursue
Yeah.
avenues.
Perfect, thank you.
You good? Okay. All right. If there's nothing else, is there any other business? Okay, can I ask if you ever found out from compliance about the building at Michigan and Fuller? This is the one where we denied the screening of the windows for the infusion place. It's still up.
Yep, I believe it was, I had the date and I just lost it. 465 Fuller Northeast, there was a request before the board for a dimensional variance to reduce the visible light transmission to allow the installation of some window film. The board denied that request, and I have re-engaged our code compliance department to proceed with enforcement at that location. I don't have a timeline. I can certainly have that next meeting. I just re-engaged our enforcement team earlier this week, so they're in process.
Is this the process where they get like 1 million notices before they have to comply? Not 1 million, 2 or 3. Go ahead.
Right, it's not 1 million, but zoning enforcement inherently has a process that does include some time periods for notification, communication. The due process is just a little bit longer than a police power ordinance. So there are a number of course, property rights in the state of Michigan generally do require us, when it comes to administration and enforcement, to go through a very deliberative process when it comes to violations of the code. So that was a long answer to not 1 million, but yes, there are several notices and opportunities for conversation about it.
Okay, because there was, and that's different than the conversations that you already had with them before they got cited and had to come here.
I would want to engage with our code compliance division to understand where that picks up. If it I don't know if enforcement would start over or picks up where they left off. I don't feel confident on that to answer that directly yet.
Okay.
Unless, Rowan, you have.
The case hasn't been closed, so the enforcement case is still open, and we can circle back with our code compliance team on timelines. I know that they have already received notices of complaint, notices of violation, and several other violations, so we would just need to re-engage with the code compliance team to understand where the process picks up.
Okay, and they know that they got turned down.
Correct, yep.
And I guess I just don't understand how long it takes after.
Yeah, it's all dependent on when things started, how many notices went out, and code compliance process. Admittedly, I don't have a great understanding of those timelines, so we can bring back more concrete answers to the board next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, guys, I want to take advantage of having Kristen here, but there was a gas station approved at Ball and Leonard. They have since, I guess, decided not to build there. It was what's the one? Speedway. Speedway, thank you. Has anything happened there? They took down the building and it's just a vacant lot now.
No, I think they proceeded with their demolition. But no, there has been no active progress on any sort of acting on the approvals that were provided.
It would be too late now anyway.
Those are never simple questions, so it would definitely be important for us to go back through the timelines for the, because sometimes if a site construction or a LEDS permit or a building permit, we need to look at what those timelines provided within. So we can answer that question as well next time after we have a chance to look at all of the submission documents to make a determination whether or not there's any validity to their use approvals that were provided previously.
Personally, I think it would be an interesting corner for some multi-housing development. It's got enough property there that I think somebody could do something with it. But anyway, it's just sad to see it just sit. So, anybody else have anything? Yes, James.
Yeah, just a question. We have alternates, right?
Yes,
Were they not available today?
one.
Mr. Preston is one of our
One.
alternates. Sorry. Mr. Preston was one of our alternates. Our other alternate has been challenging to get a hold of. So
It's been years since our last alternate showed up on anything.
Okay, is there a process we have to remove?
there is. It starts at City Commission. We can explore that option with Director Turkelson, our executive office. That term expires at the end of 2026. Given the attendance record, staff likely won't be recommending a reappointment. I don't want to wish maybe.
Maybe let it go till the end of the year?
Yeah, I think it will.
I mean, they can't reappoint.
We'll want to discuss with Director Turkelson.
Yeah, I think if, in general, if there's issues with attendance, and certainly quorum is critical to the board being able to serve in the capacity we've asked you to, then we would bring that to the Committee on Appointments. So I can reach out to the Executive Office for direction on how to best discuss this with the Committee on Appointments.
Okay. That's a good question. Thank you. Yeah.
Yep, I will also note that there are a large number of board members whose terms are expiring. There's no term limits, so those of you whose terms are expiring, I'll be reaching out to you to see if you have continued interest in remaining on the board. Ms. Swanson and Ms. Schaefer were reappointed at the beginning of the year. It's a fairly simple process that hopefully Ms. Swanson navigated fairly easily. And if there are challenges with paperwork and all of that, we can certainly support.
Okay. Yeah, let us know who's up. I don't even remember anymore, so.
It might be you, Ms. Ribot. I
Might be
can't
me.
remember. Yeah.
Then I'm in trouble. Okay, if that's it, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Yep, I think it's you. You and Mr. Zeiser.